For centuries, the academies of Babylon were the undisputed centers of the Jewish legal world. But by the late 10th century, the era of the Geonim was beginning to fade as their absolute authority over the global diaspora fractured. The lifeblood of this system was the Kallah months, a massive biannual assembly where thousands of scholars from across the region gathered to standardize and interpret the law. Maintaining this infrastructure required a specific funding stream known as haknasat Kallah. Though later used to describe charity for brides, in this era, the term referred to the institutional capital needed to feed and house the thousands of scholars attending these summits. Facing a financial crisis during the reign of Rav Sherira Gaon, 4 of the primary authorities of the Babylonian academies set sail across the Mediterranean. Their mission was to secure the funding needed to keep the Kallah system alive. But the mission was interrupted. Somewhere in the open sea, a pirate fleet intercepted their vessel, taking the entire crew and its passengers captive. The central authorities of the Jewish legal tradition were now held as hostages on the open sea. The captives quickly realized the danger of their status. If identified as the leading scholars of Babylon, the ransom demands would be astronomical. Extortion at that scale would financially bankrupt the fragile Jewish communities across the Mediterranean that were expected to pay for their release. To protect the diaspora, the scholars deliberately concealed their identities. They dressed in ragged sackcloth and presented themselves as simple, uneducated laborers. They were betting on the legal mandate of Pidyon Shvuyim, the religious obligation for Jewish communities to redeem captives. Local communities along the coast obeyed this mandate, purchasing the men at the standard price for common slaves. They believed they were saving 4 simple laborers, unaware they were redeeming the leading legal minds of the generation. The pirates sold the captives in different ports, inadvertently spreading Babylonian leadership across the west. Rabbeinu Hushil and his son, Rabbeinu Hananel, were redeemed in North Africa and settled in the city of Kairouan. In Kairouan, alongside Rav Nassim Gaon, they established a major center of Torah study, anchoring the Babylonian legal tradition in North Africa. This new lineage of scholarship, alongside Rav Hai Gaon back in Babylon, became recognized as the Geoni Hamarav, the Geonim of the West. This forced dispersal established a new intellectual safety net. By the time the Eastern academies finally collapsed, the foundations of the law had already been rebuilt on Western shores. The final scholar, Rabbi Moshe Bar Chanoch, was brought to the city of Córdoba, Spain. Their local judges lacked the direct, authoritative chain of tradition that defined the Babylonian academies. This lack of contact meant that Spanish judges had to rely entirely on their own logical deductions to interpret the complexities of the law. Relying purely on deduction left the community vulnerable. Without the institutional memory of Babylon to anchor their rulings, they faced the risk of legal fragmentation and error. After his release, Rabbi Moshe arrived at the Córdoba Academy. Dressed in the same ragged sackcloth he wore as a captive, he sat unrecognized at the back of the room. Up at the front, the local judge, Rabbi Nathan, was struggling to interpret a complex Tosefta regarding purification. The meaning remained out of his reach. From the back of the room, the stranger spoke. He clarified the law perfectly, using the specific dialect and logical proof patterns used only in the highest courts of Babylon. The scholars were stunned because Rabbi Moshe spoke Lishna de Rabbanan, the precise, authoritative dialect used in the elite inner circle of the Babylonian sages. This specialized jargon signaled his identity as a high-ranking authority. The Córdoba scholars immediately recognized his command of the material. His ultimate authority was established not by his ragged appearance, but entirely by the undeniable accuracy of his textual analysis. Rabbi Nathan immediately resigned his position. He told the community this stranger in rags was now his teacher, and he would henceforth be the student. Authority was surrendered not to political power, but to the undeniable, objective mastery of the legal tradition itself. This moment creates a historical parallel to the original Moshe, Moses. Just as the original Moshe spent his final month clarifying the law before the nation entered a new land, this Rabbi Moshe provided Córdoba with a definitive foundation for the future. His arrival established the intellectual framework that would sustain Spanish Jewry during its coming golden age. It demonstrated that the legal tradition is not bound by geography or buildings. It survives and transitions across empires through the unbroken, objective mastery of its scholars.